Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's release presentation. We are super thrilled to guide you through today's new release of Synera, the Synera 2407 Keen Kratos release with a lot of new improvements and features. My name is Daniel. I will be the host of today's session and will guide you through today's webinar. I'm not alone. I brought our two PMs with me. First, I hand over to Sophie to say hello.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
And also Andrew is on board to give us some insights.
Thanks, Daniel. Glad to be here.
Okay. So if you have any questions regarding features and something that we are presenting today, feel free to use the Q&A function, and we will try to answer some questions at the end of the session. To do not lose time, we will jump off directly. So the first slide, as always, gives you a short glimpse what the developers have done over the last couple of months. So they were pretty active, and we are super thrilled to show you a lot of new things. And in total, we made the math. Over 60 new features and a giant numbers of over 100 bug fixes has been developed over the last couple of months. So it's a lot to talk today. And the main topic of today is handle complexity with ease. So we know more and more workflows becomes more and more complex, more and more rollouts are planned in your companies. So we want to give you as much as possible in support and in easiness of using Synera. So we prepared 4 highlights for you. And with this, I'm handing over to Sophie to give us the first insight here.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Yeah, so you are probably aware that the Synera Run has been growing a lot over the past years. We've added a lot of capabilities and content that add a lot of great value. But actually, the extensive scope is also introducing a new challenge for our users, which is that it's hard to stay up to date and have an overview over things like available capabilities, new releases, add-ins, changes in add-ins, and also available solutions. And for new users, it's even harder to get this overview in the very first place. This is why with Keen Kratos, we are now introducing our new start page. So Keen Kratos makes sure that users are up and running quickly with Synera, whether you are diving into Synera for the very first time or you're already using it daily. The start page gives you a very convenient entry point while also providing the product overview that you need. So here we have the recent workflows. They make sure that you don't need any extra click when you decide where to continue your work. Then you can discover templates. They will give you some new ideas how to solve your problems and also ensure that you're not missing out on solutions that already exist. Here in the Discover panel, you can discover capabilities in Synera that will enhance your workflows. And then we have a news panel for you to stay up to date, where we inform you about new releases, new add-ins, or events that are happening. And one of our expert users, Daniel Fuchshuber from RLE, has actually been an early adopter of the start page and is so kind to give us a demo and share his impressions on the start page.
Hello, everyone. This is Daniel from RLE, Synera Gold Partner. Now, I couldn't resist checking out the new pre-release, and when I opened it, I saw something that I actually didn't know I've been waiting for, which is the new start page. Now, I want to show that to you now, and let's dive right in. So what do we have here? This big panel in the middle, that gives you existing templates. You can even kind of change that view to get the new templates first or the recommended ones. What I like about this is, well, it just gives you this overview, and I actually discovered new templates just by having this right open, because like I don't actively use the templates that much, and therefore I don't see what's new. And for example, this mass moment of inertia thing, I was actually thinking of doing this myself, but then was too lazy to gather all the information and implement it. And then I noticed by having the start page, well, it's already there. So this really gives you the chance to see what Synera can actually offer and makes it easier to use it. What else do we have? So below that, there's this Discover Synera pane that gives you a bit more basic overview of all the features that are there with small examples. And I think it's also very useful because even if you get like deep into some part of Synera and really get into that, that doesn't mean you have the overview over everything that Synera can do. And things like this will help you discover all the features or get started with something new that you want to try out. And on the left side here, you have your recent workflows and these buttons to open new ones, which is also great. I mean, that means you don't have to fiddle around in this menu anymore. And on the right hand, we have the news panel, which is also great because that makes it so much easier to follow news. For example, did you know that NASA is now using Synera? I find this is really awesome. And yeah, probably wouldn't have really noticed that if I didn't follow on LinkedIn already. So this is also really great. You don't have to actively search for the news. They're just provided to you by this panel. Now, that was already it. I hope you enjoyed that short demo. I think this is great. And yeah, I hope you think the same.
Yeah, thanks a lot to Daniel. I can only emphasize what he said here. I hope you get a lot of value out of the start page. And with that, I will hand it over to Andrew.
Thanks, Sophie. I'm really looking forward to that start page as well. When I think about complexity, my background is FEA. I think a lot about nonlinear analysis. And so I'm really happy today to start sharing some of the capabilities we're rolling out in the field of nonlinear analysis and making that accessible inside Synera. So, of course, the first thing we need to do with nonlinear analysis is actually start the setup process. So we're rolling out for 6 solvers the ability to create nonlinear static load cases with support for nonlinear geometry. So this means we'll solve that solution incrementally in your given solver, providing updates to the stiffness matrix with each iteration to really adapt as your model deforms. Really important as you get into larger deformations to have a nonlinear solution versus a linear solution. And again, today this is supporting a large subset of implicit nonlinear solvers. Now, of course, we go beyond just setting up nonlinear load cases. We need to start working with nonlinear contacts. And so previously we already supported Altair OptiStruct with some different types of contact. We're rolling out a new contact node that today will support OptiStruct as well as some types of contact in Abacus. And we're looking forward to adding additional solvers in our fall release to really expand the capabilities here and enable you to fully embrace nonlinear solutions inside Synera. But we go a step further now, where we're enabling you to inject any card into your solver deck for a variety of solvers. So in this case, if we don't support a given material model that you're interested in, you can actually go ahead and generate that material model yourself, inject it back into your bulk data file that you've generated from Synera, and then go ahead and trigger the run just like you normally would. So today we're supporting SimCenter Nastran, OptiStruct, MSC Nastran, as well as MSC Mark. So once we've added nonlinear materials, of course, we need nonlinear results as well. And so we've updated our import FEA model node to have a few new capabilities. We're going to allow you to actually see what different types of results are coming through when you import that model. So today, we're not going to import every single result type. We're going to give you the option to import additional results as you need. So in this case, you can see I was took a look at the info, saw there was an equivalent creep string. I'm going to now pop that into the import FE model node, and we're going to re-import the model, and we can see in the model view now, we have the option to select equivalent creep string. So this is going to work for not only nonlinear solutions, but any other solution type you may have where you don't currently support that model inside Synera. So what types of problems can we solve today? With these new capabilities, if you're looking at nonlinear solutions for metal parts, we've got you covered. So you can, of course, set up for your given model nonlinear static load cases. In this case, we're going to export a model to SimCenter Nastran, and we're going to want to apply a new material model here. So instead of the typical isotropic material model, we're going to go with something with hardening. And so we can go in, pull out that card using the deconstruct bulk card node. And we're going to make some modifications here by injecting our own material model now with that elastoplastic material model. So we can see the options now to construct that new card. We can see the actual card line that gets written out there. And then we're going to go back and simply merge that back into our standard deck, and we'll go ahead and run that model. Now, of course, we're not restricted just to metals here. We can also work with plastic models. So in this case, we're going to take a look at this little rubber component. And of course, for a rubber component, isotropic material models don't work very well. So we're going to want something like a Mooney-Rivlin material, which today we don't support inside Synera. But of course, we know how to construct that model for the different solvers that we have. And so again, we're going to go ahead, export out a bulk data file. We're going to look for our P-solid card or property, and then we're going to start to pull out some of the data that we need. So we're going to convert our P-solid to a PL-solid. And then we're also then going to construct our hyperelastic material model card, which obviously gets a bit more complicated. So in this case, we're generating a large matrix of data, but you can see inside Synera, it's very easy to go in and visually construct that model. And of course, we're going to merge all of that data back together. And then once we've merged that data back together, we're actually going to construct our card, and then again, inject that card back into our original Nastran deck. So again, the nice thing here is, regardless of what type of material model, or even if you have additional types of cards that you want to support inside your model, now with this capability of constructing, deconstructing cards tied together with our new nonlinear load step capabilities, we've got you covered. So again, what have we done for nonlinear FEA? We've added the ability for nonlinear static load steps. You have the ability now to read in results from nonlinear solutions, as well as any other solution type from our supported solvers, and extract results data there. We've begun to add contacts for different solver types, as well as the ability to insert cards to add in capabilities that we may not support inside the visual environment in Synera. And so now I'm going to pass it back to Sophie to share some other new exciting enhancements.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, it's very impressive to see how many nonlinear capabilities have been added since the last release. I bet a lot of people can't wait to get their hands on these and test them out themselves. Yeah, with that, I lead over to Synera Run. And with Keen Kratos, we focused on solving one specific challenge users have been facing with Synera Run so far. And a little recap, in Synera Run, we see two different types of users. We have the creators that build the workflows and publish them, and we have consumers that just run the workflows, but actually have no other contact points with Synera, the editor. And also, since they don't have a contract, they also don't have knowledge about how to fix problems if they face any. And so far, they had to just contact their creator, and then the creator had to go into debugging and investigation mode and figure it out, which was also a tedious task, as on the server environment, there's a lot of different factors you have to take into account. And for these reasons, our team has been working very hard on reducing the time to successfully running workflows in Synera Run with Keen Kratos. We provide new solutions that first off prevent errors, and if they still occur in rare cases, makes it a lot easier to detect and solve these errors. So when a creator publishes a workflow, Synera now checks all known sources for unintended workflow behavior. And then depending on the significance of what's found, you either get an error message, a warning, or an info message. And just to mention a few checks we perform before publishing. We check, is the solution of the workflow finished already? Can all necessary files be copied to the server? Are all needed add-ins installed on the server? Is there a mismatch between installed Synera versions, or is the workflow password protected? There's a lot of other checks, but the list is long. And with all of these checks, you can then either resolve them. For some, you can also publish anyway, and you can be very sure that your workflow is running as intended after publishing for your consumers. On top of these checks, we also empower the creator to route errors, warnings, or info messages to the Run front end based on logics they can define themselves in the workflow. Creators can use the validate node to define the message type and the text that should be displayed in the front end. And then they can define a logic, and based on that logic, if it's fulfilled or not, the message will be shown in the front end. And you can also decide if the data stream should be broken. So then the computation would also stop for some cases. In our early adopter group, actually, we have seen this feature mainly being used to validate input data so that there's a check after the inputs are uploaded or entered, and then the computation doesn't even run or is stopped. So it saves a lot of time for the consumers if they input some invalid data. And then also Keen Creators allows creator to define which inputs are required and which are optional. And then only if all required inputs are entered, you can run the workflow. And now I would like to have a look with you. Oops, sorry. Let's see if this video is playing. Daniel, can you start the video? Thank you. I want to have a look with you at an example of how we can set up these custom messages for our consumers. So here you see the creator has a workflow that is building a geometry and then analyzing it. And here now it's building a logic with a validate node so that only if a valid geometry is outputted, the data should keep flowing. And if no valid geometry is outputted, we get a data breakpoint, and then the message that is typed right now will be displayed in the front end. And here you see it's an error. You can define the message type. You can say break the data flow here if the error appears. Then also usually creators know their workflows really well. So here the creator is setting up a logic where they know this input combination can cause problems, builds up this logic. And then again, if this condition is fulfilled, it will break the data stream. Here it's actually a different message. So sometimes it can be just like, well, this is wrong. It doesn't work at all. But here the creator can give some guidance and tips to the consumer of how to adjust the inputs for the workflow to work. And then you see here the error in action. You see the error message, and this will just be routed through the front end. And of course, you can not only define error messages, you can also define warnings or info messages. So in this case, there's a displacement being calculated. And if the displacement is larger than a certain value, the creator knows this, would be great to have a bit of a stiffer geometry, but it shouldn't break the workflow from calculating. So they just type a message to let the consumer know and make them aware. And here you see now our checklist in action. While publishing, you get some hints. Here you can enter a password to protect your workflow. We also are told that we have a different Synera version, but decide, we can publish anyway. That's not a problem in this situation. Just be a bit cautious of it. And then our consumer is using the workflow, actually faces the errors and gets the messages displayed in the front end. They can read them and they help them. They help the consumer to know what to do. So actually, there's a lot of guidance for our workflow consumer now. All right. So after looking at preventing unexpected behaviors in Synera Run, let's have a look how Clean Kratos is handling it if errors still happen for one reason or the other. There are multiple scenarios where system errors could occur, for example, third-party tools or add-ins not being installed on the server or licenses missing. And for these cases, we display these error messages where we directly include a message that can be copied and sent to the workflow creator or the server admin, depending on who needs to take care here. But in any case, the workflow consumer is never left clueless, and they get direct instructions on how to proceed to get the workflow running again. Also, node errors can appear when running a workflow. Even if the creator prepares the workflow very carefully, it still might throw an error. There might be some input combinations you haven't tested. These things can happen. And independently of what node error is thrown inside of Synera, the workflow consumer will always get the same unexpected error message. So they don't have to worry about understanding what is happening in the workflow at all. And then they can generate a debug file using this error message, and they can directly send it to the creator. Everything is displayed in the message. And then the creator can use this debug file to see the inputs of the consumer and fix the problem from there. And I actually would like to go back to our example and see what that looks like in action. So here you see the consumer is playing around in this workflow again, and a node error appears. And now by generating a debug file, they can copy the link. They don't even need to download the debug file themselves, so it's fast and convenient. They can just write the creator an email and ask them for support. And on the creator side, of course, you get this email first. By clicking the link, you directly download the debug file that was created. You can open it directly in Synera. And of course, if you password protected your workflow, you need to enter that. And once you open it, you see the workflow at the state when the error appeared. So here we can directly understand which nodes are throwing an error and why that is. And then also either adjust the workflow or maybe tell the consumer what to do. In this case, there's actually a bit of a mistake in the workflow. A length of 0 doesn't work in this case. So the creator changes that, republishes the workflow, and then just informs the consumer that everything is working now. The link stays the same, so the consumer can just refresh the page and can continue to work after a short amount of time. All right. So these error handling and debugging features in Clean Kratos ensure that the time from publishing to successfully running a workflow is now drastically reduced. No user is left confused or wondering what to do, and the creators get the power to give the consumers a very smooth and guided experience for them to successfully use their workflows. In addition to this very big focus area for Synera Run, we also added some convenience and quality of life features that were highly requested by our users. One of them is that the contact details of the creator are always displayed under help. So you cannot just contact your creator if there's an error thrown, but actually at any time, if needed, you know who created this workflow and how to contact them. Also, we are now allowing the creator to decide whether the default solution mode should be auto run or manual, and also if there should be an initial computation of the workflow or not, as this highly depends on the workflow, what makes most sense. And then also, we saw some workflows at our users where we had like up to 100 items in the select node. And because of that, we quickly added the search functionality here to ease your life a little bit. And then also you can now publish workflows that include library workflows without any problems. It works now. And with that, let's have a quick look at this overview page. So the most important ones is setting required and optional inputs, the system error messages, the publishing checklist, debugging files, and of course the custom messages so you can guide your consumers. All right, and then I will hand it back.
Thanks, Sophie. That was a lot of enhancements to Synera Run. Excited to see what types of workflows people are going to create now thanks to that. So, of course, we have a few big focus areas, but there's a lot that still goes into the product. A lot of new nodes, a lot of updated nodes. And so now we're going to talk about some of those new and improved areas of the product as well. So we already talked about the contact node previously when I mentioned nonlinear analysis. Of course, that node uses sets. And so you may have seen in the previous release, we've been adding node sets, element sets. We've added now, and additionally, the deconstruct element set. But also a nice one that I'll give a cool workflow for in just a minute here is the construct view node. A lot of people have been asking for that to kind of programmatically generate views inside Synera. We've gone in and added a lot related to optimization, particularly around enabling people to dynamically create optimizations, as well as create optimizations inside Synera Run. And again, Sophie's put together a nice example there that we'll show. And a few quality of life improvements. Some folks are asking about flipping different bodies. So the normal directions on some surfaces was incorrect. So we've added now a flip surface body node. Previously, we added a few other options for generating legends. We've now added the discrete legend option. And we've updated one node, or really renamed it. So now it shows the contents inside directory, which will also show the different directories inside a directory, not just files in a directory. But here's a really cool example of how we could start to put together some of the enhanced nodes that we've created. So here we've updated the model view nodes to now have inputs that are kind of user definable for each step of the process. And now we're going to go in and we're actually going to construct views and create viewer screenshots at different steps in the process here, because we also updated the viewer screenshot node to take in some more settings there. And in this case, we're going to generate actually automatically a report from our simulation analysis. So we ran a nonlinear analysis. We've got some hotspots in the model, and now we're automatically going to generate some screenshots of those different hotspot regions. And so again, we're going to tie in the construct view to programmatically generate views where we have hotspots. So Robert's done a great job here of actually trying out a few different options and then selecting the best one based on his own logic. Then we're going to go in and use the Office connector from Raphos to construct some PowerPoint slides. And of course, we could have multiple hotspots here. In this case, we have 2. And then we're going to go in and actually generate automatically this entire PowerPoint presentation. I know generating reports is typically a tedious thing engineers hate to do. I think that these new nodes is really going to help in that area. Another new improvement, so import FEA model now supports MSC Mark when you have the MSC Mark connector, which also just launched today. So a lot of new capabilities available there. We've updated the sweep shell mesh node. So now we allow the actually elements to be generated to align or be oriented with the path that we're sweeping along. So here you can nicely see the difference between what we're generating before. And now when you turn on the orient option, what we're generating now when we sweep along the path. So really great enhanced capability there. Thanks for everyone that provided some feedback on this node. And now we also have the ability with the parameter setup. I think Daniel, you may need to play the video here as well. There we go. So we've added quite a few nodes in the area of optimization. Really, the goal here is that folks are going to be able to dynamically create optimizations as well as use optimizations inside Synera Run. So in this case, you can see that we're going in and we're creating some groups and inputs in those groups that we're going to use inside our Synera Run workflow. So we've defined our mins and maxes. We can now use those to construct the response. We're going to define our output as this box geometry. Of course, then we can just go ahead, publish this workflow to Synera Run. And now inside Synera Run, we're able to dynamically create optimizations and select the different objectives that we want using these new nodes. So, of course, we're not alone in creating the Synera-verse, as Sophie so nicely put it. We have a lot of partners as well that help us. And so it's also my pleasure to share some of the updates we have to our marketplace in the past 3 months, and a lot of them actually coming in the past few days, which is quite exciting. So we've added a Raphinex Mobius connector from Raphinex, doing great stochastic cloud-based topology optimization. We have now a database connector from StoneDev. Arc Engineering has released the first few add-ins. So they've added a coloring one. So if you're working with assemblies and you need to just apply some different colors to easily distinguish parts, that's a great option there. We've got the differential evolution optimization also coming from Arc. Excited to see what folks are able to create with that. As I said, we have the MSC Mark connector that actually released today. We have Intact simulation, and we have Run CAD for CATIA. Now, just quickly, one of my favorite add-ins here, the Intact simulation add-in, allows you to analyze complex geometries and assembly models without needing to mesh them. So if you're working with lattice structures, TPMS structures, or really big assemblies with lots of parts, and you find it a pain to apply context to all of those, the new add-in from Intact allows you to do all of that without meshing a single part. It's a few easy nodes that tap in already to the existing Synera nodes for simulation. So definitely take a look at this new add-in. But I just want to say a lot of our partners have also released a bunch of updates to their add-ins in the past few months. Shout out to a few of our partners, like Raphos, who've updated Raphos Physics, the Office connector for Raphos, or Office connector from Raphos in the last few months based on a lot of customer feedback. So if you haven't checked those out recently, I definitely recommend going on the marketplace and downloading the latest versions. And with that, I will pass it back to Daniel.
Thanks, Andrew. Wow, that was a blast of updates. So it's really cool to see what the developers, the QAs, the designers, product managers have achieved over the last couple of months. Big shout out, great work, guys. And we are really thrilled to get the feedback from you. So what have we seen today? We saw a brand new start page, which helps you to discover new templates, get up to date with all the news from Synera. We saw a totally new discipline in the world of simulation with non-linearities. We saw Synera Run with a lot of new improvements, especially with the features that empowers you as creators to create a more guided tool for your consumers. We have tons of new nodes and new add-ins in the marketplace. So we are really thrilled to bring the new Synera 24/7 keen creators in the hands of our users. And therefore, I have the honor to announce that the developers did it again. We are really proud that we are able to make this release available today. So there's one call to action. Go to our portal, download the newest version of Synera, and enjoy all the new features you have seen today. Okay, we're already 5 minutes over time, so we will skip the Q&A session for today. But if there are any questions or any feedback, we are more than thrilled to get in contact with you. So happy to reach out to the team, and yeah, all the best. And thanks for tuning in today. Thanks, Sophie and Andrew, for showing us these great new capabilities. And yeah, have fun with the new version of Synera. Thanks for joining. All the best. Bye-bye.